The stellar dawn was a blur against the stars as it rocketed away from the battlefield, its engines straining under the pressure of evasion. The Vraath frigates were in hot pursuit, their plasma cannons glowing menacingly, but Alya knew they couldn't match the speed of her ship, at least not for long. "We're clear of the immediate threat," Kalen said, his voice still tense as he monitored the radar. "The Vraath frigates are falling back." Alya let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, her body relaxing just slightly. "Good. Maintain distance, but keep an eye on them. They're not the type to give up so easily." Mira leaned back in her seat, her face pale from the tension of the last few hours. "Captain, that was too close. If we hadn't gotten out when we did, the Vraath would have had us." "We got what we came for," Alya said, standing up and moving toward the holographic display in the center of the bridge. "That's what matters. Now we need to figure out what to do with it." The second artifact sat securely in the cargo hold, its energy still crackling faintly through the ship's systems. It was larger and more powerful than the first artifact they had recovered, and its presence was beginning to make Alya uneasy. "Thane," Alya called over the comms. "What's the status of the artifact?" Thane's voice came through, tired but steady. "It's secured for now, but there's something strange going on. The energy patterns are different than what we saw on the first artifact. It's like it's agitated." Alya frowned. "Agitated?" "Yeah," Thane said, "like it's reacting to something. We've got it locked down, but I'm worried it might destabilize if we don't figure out what's causing it." Alya's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't the first time they had seen the artifacts react to outside forces, but something about Thane's description sent a chill down her spine. "Mira," Alya said, turning to her science officer, "get down to the cargo hold and run a full diagnostic on the artifact. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with." Mira nodded and quickly made her way toward the lift. Alya stayed behind on the bridge, her mind racing. If the artifacts were beginning to react more strongly to each other, it could mean they were approaching a tipping point. Whatever ancient power connected them was growing stronger with every piece they recovered. "Captain," Kalen said from his station, pulling Alya from her thoughts. "I'm picking up something strange on the long-range sensors." Alya walked over to Kalen's console. "What kind of strange?" Kalen tapped a few commands, pulling up a series of fluctuating energy readings on the display. "There's an anomaly, several of them actually. They're faint, but they're all moving through deep space, toward us." Alya's eyes narrowed as she studied the readings. "Could be Vraath reinforcements." Kalen shook his head. "I don't think so. These readings don't match any known Vraath ship signatures. It's something else." Alya's pulse quickened. "Something else? Could it be more artifacts?" Kalen hesitated. "Maybe, but there's something off about these readings. They're not just energy signatures. They're being masked, like someone doesn't want us to see them." Alya's brow furrowed. If someone, or something, was actively trying to hide from them, it meant they were dealing with a new player in the game, and that could complicate things even further. "Set a course to intercept," Alya ordered. "I want to know who or what is out there." Kalen nodded and began plotting the course. The ship's engines hummed as the stellar dawn shifted direction, heading toward the mysterious anomalies. Mira stood in the cargo hold, her eyes glued to the readings on her scanner. The second artifact pulsed with a steady, almost angry rhythm, its glow far more intense than the first artifact. It hummed with power, and every so often, Mira could feel a strange vibration pass through the floor, as if the ship itself was reacting to the artifact's presence. "This thing is volatile," Mira muttered to herself as she adjusted her scanner. "I've never seen energy behave like this before." The door to the cargo hold slid open, and Thane walked in, his face tense as he approached. "How's it looking?" Mira shook her head, her brow furrowed in concern. "Not good. The energy readings are all over the place. It's like the artifact is trying to connect to something or someone. I've never seen anything like it." Thane crossed his arms, his eyes fixed on the glowing object. "Do you think it's reacting to the other artifacts?" Mira hesitated. "That's possible, but I think it's more than that. The artifact is searching for something. I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like it's alive." Thane raised an eyebrow. "Alive?" Mira nodded slowly. "The energy patterns we're seeing, They're not random. There's a purpose behind them, but I can't figure out what it is. A low hum filled the room as the artifact pulsed again, its glow intensifying for a brief moment before settling back into its steady rhythm. Mira glanced at her scanner, her heart pounding in her chest. Whatever was happening with the artifacts, it was becoming more dangerous by the minute. "We need to figure this out fast," Thane said, his voice low. "If these things are getting stronger, it's only a matter of time before we lose control." Mira agreed, but she had no idea where to start. The technology behind the artifacts was so advanced, so far beyond anything she had ever encountered, that even analyzing it felt like trying to decipher an alien language. But one thing was clear. The artifacts were responding to something, and that something was closing in. Back on the bridge, the tension was thick as the stellar dawn approached the source of the anomalies. Alya stood at the helm, her eyes fixed on the view screen as the ship moved closer to the unknown energy signatures. "I'm getting stronger readings," Kalen said, his hands flying over the controls. "Whatever's out there, we're almost on top of it." Alya nodded. "Activate long-range scans. Let's see what we're dealing with." The ship's sensors flared to life, sending out waves of energy as they scanned the surrounding space. For a moment, there was nothing but the quiet hum of the ship's systems. But then, something flickered on the edge of the display. "There," Kalen said, pointing to a faint blip on the screen. "I'm picking up something. It's cloaked, but the energy signature is strong." Alya leaned in, studying the blip closely. "Can you identify it?" Kalen shook his head. "Not yet. Whatever it is, it's heavily shielded. I'm trying to break through the masking field, but it's tough." A cold chill settled over Alya as she watched the display. Whoever, or whatever, was out there had gone to great lengths to hide their presence, and that made them dangerous. "Open a channel," Alya ordered. "Let's see if they're willing to talk." Kalen nodded and activated the comms. "This is Captain Alya Trent of the Stellar Dawn. Identify yourself." There was silence for a long moment. Then a voice crackled over the comms, distorted and garbled, as if it was being heavily encrypted. "You are treading in dangerous waters, Captain," the voice said, cold and distant. "You do not understand the forces at play." Alya's eyes narrowed. "Then enlighten me. Who are you?" There was a pause, and then the voice continued, its tone eerily calm. "We are the keepers of the ancient power. The artifacts you seek, they are not meant for you. Leave now, and you will be spared." Alya felt her pulse quicken, her mind racing. "The artifacts belong to no one. We're here to protect the galaxy from whatever danger they pose." "You are misguided," the voice said, colder now. "The artifacts are part of a much larger design, one that you cannot comprehend. You will not stop the Ascension." Alya's breath caught in her throat. "Ascension?" The ice cut out suddenly, replaced by static. Alya turned to Kalen. "Can you trace the signal?" Kalen worked quickly, his fingers flying over the controls. "I'm trying, but they're using advanced encryption. Whoever they are, they're good at hiding." Alya's jaw clenched. The Vraath weren't the only ones after the artifacts, and whoever these keepers were, they had far more knowledge of the artifacts than she did. This changed everything. "We need to move fast," Alya said, her voice firm. "These keepers are clearly watching us, and they know more about the artifacts than we do. We can't afford to let them stay ahead of us." Kalen nodded. "What's the plan?" Alya's mind raced. "We keep pushing forward. The artifacts are the key to all of this, and if the keepers want them, it means they're even more important than we thought. We need to find the remaining pieces of the network before they do." She glanced at the view screen, where the cloaked anomaly had disappeared from sight. The stakes had just been raised, and the game had become far more dangerous. But Alya wasn't about to back down. "We're not done yet," she said, her voice filled with determination. "Set a course for the next artifact site. We're going to finish this." The stellar dawn cut through the darkness of space, its engines humming with purpose. The conversation with the keepers had left a heavy silence in its wake, but Alya wasn't about to let fear control her actions. The cryptic warning from the keepers had only solidified her resolve. Whoever they were, they believed the artifacts were part of some grand ancient design, one Alya was determined to uncover. Alya stood at the helm, staring out at the vastness before her. The stars blurred slightly as the ship moved toward its next destination, the location of the third artifact. They were running out of time. The artifacts were awakening, and with each one they uncovered, the stakes rose higher. The network was forming, and whatever power it held was coming closer to being unleashed. "We're approaching the coordinates for the next artifact," Kalen said from his station, breaking the tense silence. "But there's something off, Captain. I'm picking up residual energy signatures, similar to what we saw back at Zarthus 4. Alya's heart quickened. "The Vraath?" "Possibly," Kalen replied, his brow furrowed as he studied the readings. "Or the Keepers. Either way, we're not alone out here." Alya nodded, her mind already working through the possibilities. They had expected resistance, but the growing presence of both the Vraath and the mysterious Keepers was making every step more dangerous. They couldn't afford to be caught off guard. "Mira," Alya called, turning to her science officer. "Any updates on the artifact we recovered? Is it stable?" Mira glanced up from her console, her face lined with concern. "It's stable for now, but the energy readings are spiking occasionally. It's like the artifact is trying to connect with the others, but there's interference. Something is blocking the full connection." Alya frowned. Could it be the Keepers? If they know more about the artifacts than we do, they might be doing something to control or manipulate them. "It's possible," Mira said, her voice thoughtful. "But it could also be that the network isn't fully activated yet. The more artifacts we bring together, the stronger the connection will become." Alya's mind raced. The Keepers had spoken of the artifacts as if they were part of a larger plan, something they referred to as the Ascension. But what did that mean? Was it a rise to power or something more? And why were the artifacts so important? "Captain," Kalen said, his voice tense, "I'm picking up ships on the long-range scanners, 2 Vraath cruisers, heading directly for us." Alya's pulse quickened. The Vraath had found them again. "Looks like we're about to have company," Alya muttered, turning to Kalen. "How far out?" "About 10 minutes, Kalen replied. "They'll be in firing range soon after that." Alya clenched her fists. They didn't have time for a full-on battle. The Vraath were relentless in their pursuit of the artifacts, and she knew they wouldn't back down until they had them all. "We're not staying to fight," Alya said, her voice firm. "We need to reach that artifact before they do." Mira's eyes widened. "Captain, the Vraath cruisers are heavily armed. If we push past them without engaging, they'll tail us all the way to the artifact." "We'll have to outrun them," Alya replied. "Plot a course that takes us through the asteroid field nearby. We'll use it to shake them off." Kalen raised an eyebrow. "That's risky. The field is dense. One wrong move and we'll be crushed by debris." Alya met his gaze, her expression determined. "It's our only option. We can't waste time in a firefight. If the Vraath get to the artifact first, we'll lose our chance." Kalen hesitated, then nodded. "Understood, Captain." The stellar dawn streaked through space, heading straight for the asteroid field. The massive rocks loomed ahead, spinning slowly in the void, their jagged surfaces reflecting the faint starlight. Behind them, the Vraath cruisers closed in, their weapon systems powering up. "Entering the asteroid field in 3 minutes, Kalen said, his voice tight as he adjusted the ship's trajectory. "The Vraath are right on our tail." Alya's heart raced as she watched the tactical display. The Vraath cruisers were fast, but their size made them less maneuverable. The asteroid field was their best chance at losing them, but it would be a dangerous run. One mistake, and the stellar dawn would be reduced to debris. "Keep us moving," Alya ordered. "Once we're in the field, we'll cut power and let the asteroids hide us." The ship's engines roared as they entered the edge of the field, weaving between the massive rocks. The stellar dawn tilted sharply to avoid a large asteroid, its hull groaning under the strain as it squeezed through a narrow gap. The Vraath cruisers followed, their size making them slower to react to the dense debris. Plasma fire erupted from their cannons, lighting up the asteroids as they tried to hit the stellar dawn, but the smaller ship was too agile, dodging each blast. "Now," Alya ordered, her eyes focused on the swirling debris around them. Kalen cut the engines, and the stellar dawn drifted silently among the asteroids. The ship's power dimmed, its systems going into a low-energy mode to avoid detection. Alya held her breath, waiting to see if the plan would work. The Vraath cruisers slowed, their sensors sweeping the area as they searched for the stellar dawn. For a tense moment, it seemed as if they might find them. Then, one of the cruisers fired a few blind shots into the asteroids, hoping to flush them out, but the debris absorbed the blasts. "They're confused," Kalen said, his voice barely a whisper. "They don't know where we are." Alya allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Keep us dark for a little longer. Let's wait for them to make a move." And minutes passed in silence as the Vraath ships drifted through the field, searching in vain for their target. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the cruisers powered up their engines and moved away, heading back toward open space. "They're pulling back," Kalen said, a note of relief in his voice. "They're giving up the search." Alya exhaled slowly. "Good. Let's get moving." Kalen reactivated the engines, and the Stellar Dawn slipped out of the asteroid field, heading toward the coordinates of the third artifact. The ship's systems hummed back to life, and the tension on the bridge eased slightly. "Captain, we're approaching the artifact site," Mira said, glancing at her scanner. "I'm picking up strong energy signatures, similar to the other artifacts, but different in intensity. This one feels more active." Alya frowned. "More active? How?" "I'm not sure," Mira replied. "It's as if the artifact is awake, like it's been activated." Alya's pulse quickened. "By who?" "The Keepers?" Mira shook her head. "I don't know, but whatever's going on here, it's not like the other sites." As the ship approached the planet's surface, the artifact's energy signature grew stronger, pulsing through the ship's sensors like a heartbeat. The planet below was barren, its surface marked by deep canyons and jagged mountains, but the energy readings pointed to a massive underground structure buried deep beneath the surface. "We'll need to go down in person," Alya said, her voice filled with determination. "Prepare a landing party. We're going to find that artifact." The shuttle descended through the thin atmosphere, the planet's barren surface stretching out beneath them. Alya sat in the cockpit, her eyes scanning the horizon as they neared the location of the artifact. The energy signature was intense, pulsing through the ship's systems with a steady, rhythmic beat. "Captain," Mira said from the back of the shuttle, "I'm picking up something strange. The artifact's energy is interacting with the other artifacts. It's like they're resonating together, but there's interference, like someone or something is trying to block the full forcings. Connection." Alya's mind raced. "The Keepers?" "It's possible," Mira replied, "but I think it's more than that. There's something about this site, something different from the others." The shuttle landed softly on the rocky surface, its engines powering down as the landing ramp lowered. Alya and her team stepped out, their boots crunching against the barren ground as they made their way toward the entrance of the underground structure. The air was thick with tension as they approached the massive stone doors, etched with the same ancient symbols they had seen at the other artifact sites. The symbols glowed faintly, pulsing in time with the energy signature of the artifact. "This place feels alive," Kalen muttered, his eyes scanning the walls, "like it's waiting for something." Alya nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. "Let's find out what." They moved through the doors, entering a vast underground chamber. The walls were lined with glowing symbols, and at the center of the chamber, suspended in the air, was the artifact. But this one was different. It pulsed with a fierce, almost aggressive energy, its glow flickering wildly as if it were struggling to contain the power within it. The air crackled with electricity, and Alya could feel the weight of the artifact's presence pressing down on her. Mira's scanner beeped frantically. "Captain, this artifact is off the charts. It's unstable. We need to be careful." Alya approached the artifact slowly, her hand hovering over its surface. The artifact pulsed in response, its energy reaching out to her, pulling her in. Suddenly, the room shook violently, and the artifact flared with light. "Captain!" Mira shouted. "We're not alone!" Alya turned just in time to see a figure step out of the shadows, cloaked in a dark, flowing robe. The figure's eyes glowed with a pale, eerie light, and Alya felt a chill run down her spine. The Keeper. "You should not have come here," the Keeper said, his voice cold and distant. "The artifacts are not meant for you." Alya's hand tightened around her weapon. "We're here to protect the galaxy from the danger these artifacts pose. If you know something, tell us." The Keeper shook his head slowly. "You do not understand. The Ascension is inevitable. The artifacts are part of a much greater design, one that you cannot stop." Alya's heart pounded as the artifact behind her pulsed with energy, its power growing stronger by the second. I won't let you use them, Alya said, her voice firm. The Keeper smiled, a cold, cruel smile. You cannot stop what has already begun. With a wave of his hand, the Keeper vanished, leaving Alya standing alone in the chamber, the artifact's energy crackling around her. The ascension had begun.